Hey, your people, better May 16th. I think it was the 16th when I just checked like literally 3 seconds ago. Hello. I'm going to check one more time. But it's the end of May 2026. Yeah, come here. Yep. 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 And it's also like 7:30 in the morning. Because I can't have a normal fucking life. At least for me. See, this is normal for most people. 7:30 in the morning is normal for most people. I won't know what to do with myself for at least 5 hours. So I'm just heating up some leftovers from last night. Since I've got a pot of marinara sauce in the fridge right now, because I finally got me the bay leaves that I showcased the other day. I was like, well, it's time to finally make that pasta. I made a double batch, which I probably shouldn't have, but whatever. It is what it is. But yeah. And since I didn't have like any kind of real cooking vessel that I wanted to mess with at the time, because I forgot, I've actually started storing. Because the other day on Wednesday, I get a knock at the door at like 4 p.m. I'm like, what the fuck? Who's knocking? And then I look through the little peephole, and I'm like, okay, this person looks like they work here. And then he said case manager, and I was like, okay, interesting. Have a brief meet. He's like, will you be available tomorrow, i.e. Thursday, like either 1 o'clock or 3 p.m. I'm like, 1 o'clock works, because I've been getting to the point where I'm like sleeping anywhere between like 3 and 7 p.m. Well, last night I went to bed around 1 a.m. Because I was like, okay, well, I'm eating, so that means I need to clean up, but I also need to rest. And so I'd like clean a little, rest a little, clean a little, rest a little, clean, and so on and so forth. And then I got to bed at like probably 7 p.m. that day, waiting for him. And then I got up kind of early in the morning, like 4 in the morning. And I was like, well, let's just keep cleaning and resting and cleaning and resting and whatever. And I got to the point where everything was nice and clean. All my dishes were clean. They were just kind of scattered and all over the place because they were in places where they belong instead of, or at least semi-belong, versus, where they currently are, which is now making more of a mess again. But then it never showed. He didn't show at 1, he didn't show at 3, he didn't show at 1 or 3 on Friday. So that's annoying. I did all this productivity for no fucking reason. Oh, man. I'm a little bummed out that I feel like I'm going to need to get another blender of some kind, because I've got little cracks in this bad boy now, and I don't know how long that's gonna last. But I'm just gonna have to deal with it for the time being, because I've essentially purchased all my purchases that I'm going to purchase. Like, this is some saffron powder. I was gonna get some sticks, but like, saffron's so expensive anyway. Alright, well, I guess what I could do is, and I had forgotten to do it because I was actually considering doing it this way, I could probably, well, getting ahead of myself, but basically I just like put some powder in some water and then move from there. And then put it in whatever I'm cooking. Because I've seen, a couple videos here and there of people using saffron, talking about how good it is. And I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, I know it's like basically the most expensive spice in the world. I got it with food stamps, so, no big deal. This is 0.13 grams, and I want to say it was like $7. I also, at the same time, got, you can barely see it now, but because I just shook up a bunch of vanilla beans, and boy, do they smell good. Oh man, now it's vanilla sugar. So all of my sugary flavored foods are going to be, all of my things that are going to have that sugar in it are going to have a little bit of vanilla flavor to them. Because I was trying to find ways to store it. Some people are talking about like freeze drying it, or to like, not freeze drying it, sorry. I was thinking of vacuum sealing. I'm like, I'm not going to buy another device. It's just not happening. So, and some people were talking about, oh, get some, put it in your sugar. Makes the sugar taste great. And I was like, you know what? That sounds good. Plus, I've got this big container for my sugar. Sounds like a great idea. So I'll do that. And I can smell it through the package, which is a little concerning because, I don't necessarily want to, I don't want whatever is being shipped to also smell like it, but whatever. So I just took that package out and then moved forward with that version of it. So I got the vanilla beans, and they were reasonably priced. I want to say, for some like 20, they were probably about $2 a piece, maybe. Not even that, actually. I don't think there was that many. Probably looking closer to, I don't know. Maybe they were like $1 a piece on average. Because it was something like $20, $25 for the whole package. And I put one in the coffee liqueur. It says to let it, take it out after like 3 days. I'm gonna let it sit longer than that. Because I'm lazy. And also because I want it to have more flavor. Even if it won't last, even if it doesn't really impart any additional flavor after 3 days, I don't know. Who cares? But I'd cleaned some stuff up and everything, and I was waiting for this dude to show up, and everything got cleaned, which is nice, and I threw out a bunch of trash, and I moved some boxes around, so I've got like a Russian nesting doll of boxes up by my door. But I'd made the pasta sauce, and I didn't really have any containers to put it in because everything was just clean. And I was kind of lazy at that point too, because it was like the last thing I did on Thursday night going into Friday morning. So last night, Friday night, I was like, well, shit, I don't have anything to cook in other than that pot. Because, again, I forgot that I had the pot down below. And I'm really only using that one for eggs anyway. I was like, I want to make some pasta. I want to, make the macaroni. And I was like, well, I could use the Instant Pot. Let's look that up. Look it up. Instructions are reasonably simple. And did it, and it worked out really good. I just had to drain a little bit. Not a big deal. And it's a nice, thick, it's a very sturdy piece of metal. I wonder if it's steel. If it is, it's not magnetic, though. So it might be aluminum, but it's still pretty thick. It's still pretty sturdy. So good. So I made it in a pot, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Turns out great. I can do that again tonight if I need to. And fell asleep without fucking brushing my teeth or taking my meds. So that sucks. And then the last thing that I got is my strop. I'm gonna strop you. No. So to showcase how this works, sort of, I'll have to wait. So it's specifically to help sharpen the knife, but not like use it as a knife sharpener. It's more like, so you know when you see like chefs with that cool looking metal rod, they're like, that's essentially what they're doing. They're trying to, they're sharpening without sharpening. So take the blade and pull it backward. And so you would like pull it back and then down, pull it back and then down, and pull it back and down over and over and over again. And then you do, this one's the flat, this one's the less, it's the flatter side. This one is the more rough side. And so you want to use something like this relatively frequently because it's the alternative to a sharpening stone. It's like saying, hey, I don't want to sharpen it. I don't want to remove literal material. I want to mitigate any potential burrs and changes of angle, because like when you're cutting, you're going to be pushing up against the wood and the wood's going to be pushing back, and so on a microscopic level it's going to be dulling the blade. So you want to reposition those. It's going to be changing the position of your metal atoms and stuff, and then so you want to reposition them. Now it does have it has a polishing compound that has, I think it's like aluminum, like an aluminum oxide or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. It said it somewhere on a box or in the handling instructions. I can't remember which. Polishing compound, aluminum oxide. Yep. And then 80%, and then split fat, 18%, and then kerosene. Interesting. Non-hazardous. I don't know, man. It's got fucking kerosene in it. Whatever. And then aluminum oxide will, do some scraping. I mean, like whenever you're polishing anything, you're very, very minorly also still removing a little bit of the metal or whatever the thing is you're polishing. It could be the dirt, etc., that you're removing. So like right now, I'm still only using the blade for the most part for cutting up the soap. Although yesterday I got a little bit of additional work done on the Tonberry. So I gave him a little bit less of a gut here. I gotta like kind of clean up the arm a bit, because right now it's looking a little too bulky on the arm. I haven't done anything on this side yet, but right now I'm just kind of giving him a little bit more of a some dimensionality. I do kind of like this side more, but it just doesn't have like, his arms are just kind of there, and I want to give him a little bit of something, even if it means like the cloak needs to slump a little bit onto his feet. So this is only the first soap. I haven't really gone anywhere with it. I'm still trying to like figure out more or less like what things I'm okay with, what things I'm not okay with, what things I might want to change, etc. How to get to these places, because then when I'm done with it, what I want to do is take the next piece of soap and then essentially try to speed run that, and get back to that specific look again and see what, what my options are when it comes to trimming the fat, so to speak. Because that's really what like the next stage is going to be, is figuring out how to get to the shape that I'm looking to get into. Trying to get to, it's like trying to get the macro chunks off, if you will. And so, that's why, like, that's why I'm not too sussed about it. As long as I don't break anything, really, is what matters. Yeah, I woke up too damn late, or too damn early today, because I went to bed around 11, or like I said, around like 12 to 1, and I just couldn't fucking fall asleep. The lights have been on the whole time, which doesn't help. Because again, I just kind of fell asleep. I should know better by now. I've done it multiple times in my life, where I'm like, I'll turn off the whatever. Turn off the, because I even fucking turned the computer off, put it on hibernate. Like, that should have been an indicator that I was probably going to go to sleep soon. But it is what it is. It doesn't matter. So I don't even know what to do with myself, because and this is also part of the issue, is like, even if I took some coffee right now, I don't know what I would do with myself right now. I feel like I just need to go right back to bed. And, I gotta clean these dishes as well, because it's whatever. It's not too bad dish-wise. Like, once I put these things back, I can just move them now. Let's see. The fuck? Some gunk in there. Must be part of the bread. Shit. Well, that'll have to take care of it another time too. Thought I cleaned that fucker off, but I guess I didn't. I was gonna put my my cooked pasta and everything in one of these, but like, nah. It's a good idea that I didn't do that. Oh man. Oh fuck. Like, some of the instructions in here are okay. Because, like, I've still had some issues, like, just trying to, like, fine-tune and whatnot. Yogurt making. You can use your Instant Pot Duo to easily make delicious fermented dairy and non-dairy product. Yogurt. Choose from these settings in the Yogurt Smart program. So there's the Yogurt Smart program. Soup, broth, meat, stew, bean chili, rice, porridge, steam. Oh, there is a yogurt right there. Cool. Cooking time. Less, normal, more. Less, 24 hours. Lower temperature fermentation or junyang, a sweet fermented rice dessert. Used for fermenting milk. Used for pasteurizing milk. How to make yogurt. Pasteurizing milk. Insert cooking pot and cooker base. Add unpasteurized milk to the cooking pot. Yeah, you shouldn't have unpasteurized milk in your life in general. Place and close lid. Press yogurt. Press yogurt again to cycle through less, more, normal, more. After 10 cycle, display shows boil with a large L at the end. When pasteurization finishes, display shows end. Adding starter culture. Allow pasteurized milk to cool to 110 Fahrenheit or 43 degrees Celsius. Add starter culture to the milk according to the package instructions. Place and close lid. Press yogurt. Cycle to normal by pressing yogurt. And I probably won't be making any yogurt. I mean, it's not like it's a bad idea, especially because yogurt is more expensive than milk. But knowing me, I will fuck it up somehow. I mean, I found out that you can buy canned lentils instead of dry ones. So I don't know if they're at the store, if they're at my Smart and Final, but we'll see. I still haven't gone to like Food for Less to buy any cottage cheese, which I definitely should, because holy crap, cottage cheese prices are up through the roof now. Everybody wants their fucking protein. And so the best way to get it for me now is Food for Less, because you can get them in big ass fucking containers for a pretty reasonable price. And I can go through some cottage cheese. Like, when I first started living in Pasadena, after my first stint with homelessness, I would walk down to the Pavilions that was right down the street from where I was living from. And I would only buy the cottage cheese that was on sale, because it wasn't worth it otherwise. But I would go pretty often, usually like once every other day or so. Sometimes I'd ride my bike, sometimes I just walk. Because again, like even if I was walking, it was like 10 minutes. I would only ride my bike if I knew I needed to get like more stuff. And you know, on the side of the bike, I had these little like folding racks, and the folding racks were just right to where I could put like two cartons of milk, 2 gallons of milk on there, and I had done this before, like 2 6-packs of beer. Worked out great. So there were days where I was like, let's get some 6-packs of beer. One of those happened to be when I was working at a liquor store. I was working at the Bevmo in Pasadena. And I was essentially going to go on a date, more or less. Well, it was to her place. She was going to come pick me up. She wanted some kind of alcoholic beverage, and I was like, okay, I'll get the 2 that I know I like. We'll see if she likes either one of them. So I got the Ace Pineapple Cider, which were so fucking good. And then I also got Shiner Bock, which is the beer that I like most. It comes out of Texas. The Comedy Club sells it, which is great. I don't drink it as much anymore, just because I don't drink as much anymore. It used to be when I go to the Comedy Club, I'd get like 2 or 3 beers. Now I only get 1, and then I follow it up with root beer. Because 1, it's cheaper, and 2, it's just like, there's no point. And more people are drinking less too anyway, which is good for me as well. I need to drink less. So I get when I was working at Bevmo, I want to say it was like a 15-minute bike ride, maybe. So I hauled my ass down because I was working there, and but I wasn't working on that day. So I hauled my ass down to work. I bought the 2 beers, rode back, and then I was setting them up in the fridge. And it was a shared fridge, and it was a normal size fridge, not like this thing. But it was still, a bit of a bitch trying to get stuff in there because, again, I was sharing it with like 3 other people. And then just trying to figure out how best to get everything in there, with what little I did have already in there in the first place. Like, it's surprising that I was able to make that work. Because I only had like so much space in the pantry, and so much space in the fridge, and so much space in the freezer. Now, granted, 2 of my roommates didn't really use either. So that kind of made it work. They would put like leftovers and stuff in it. Because a lot of time, it's like 2 of my roommates, and even when one of them left and was replaced by somebody else, even the new guy didn't really use the fridge nearly as much. He mostly just ate chicken tenders and stuff that he used with his Foreman grill. And then those were frozen, and I didn't really have too much frozen stuff. I would like frozen strawberries and whatnot. But again, it was a relatively it's a normal size fridge, so it was of good size, so a lot of stuff fit in it. But I still did what I could to make sure that I wasn't, hogging the space and whatnot. And then there was some stuff that I kept in my space, and I didn't have like shelves or anything, so it looked like a giant fucking mess. Which is one of the reasons why one of my roommates hated my guts. But it is what it is. I just come off of homelessness. I was still dealing with depression, still am. This is almost 7 years ago now. I started living there in 2015. So it was 10 years ago and change. But, yeah, it's just like, it is what it is, and it was what it was. And then, so I was still living there, and then while I was moving the beers around, because I was going to make it to where I had, 3 of each in one little beer caddy, if you will. And so, it was like 6 in one, 6 the other, split them up. But in the process, I dropped one of the shiners, and it fucking shattered. It just splintered into these tiny little fucking shards. And so it fucked my pants up, so I had to get new pants. And then I had to clean that crap up. And it went all over the fucking floor. It was so annoying. I had time, because me being the freak out that I am when it comes to, crunch time, it's like I always give myself time for the most part, especially if it's an external stimulus, like, the potential of going out on a date, basically. She didn't like the shiner. She really liked the ace pineapple, though. Which I get. Not everybody likes the same stuff. That's why I bought 2 things that I knew had a better chance, one over the other. Shiner's a pretty mild beer. It's a Bock, so it's in the lager family. And like, if you get like Budweiser or whatever, that's, just a very normal everyday lager. Same Miller Lite. Like all the major American brands, those are all lagers. PBR, I don't know who makes that one. I think that's an Anheuser-Busch one too. I used to know all this shit because when I worked at a bar, or not at a bar, at a pizza place, and then also at the liquor store, I knew more of this stuff. And when I worked at Bevmo, good God, man, most of the stuff that people bought were like hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars worth of wine and liquor. The amount of money that I have seen in one purchase, and the frequency that this happened, was insane. I remember like these definitely younger guys, late 20s. They had a lot of money. They were, it's like you could tell that they had nice cars, nice clothes, worked out all the time, probably never had an actual job in their life. And, probably paying on mama or dad's dime, probably dad's dime in a sense. But there's this group of dudes who came in, and they were all tall too. They were all slightly taller than me. So, one of those elite groups, essentially. And it was one of them's birthday. And so someone was trying to pay for the birthday boy, and the birthday boy kept cutting in. And I was like, hey, all of you shut up. Whoever's paying needs to pay. Raise your hand who wants to pay. First hand goes up, pays. 4 of them shot their hand. There was 6 of them. 4 of them shot their hands up. The first dude that I saw was the one. I was like, you're paying. I was just like, motherfucker, stop making my job suck. One of you's paying, so fucking do it. The day that I know for a fact, I think the most booze I've ever seen move through, other than because I worked there from October, I think, to January. So I worked, fall, basically. So it was only seasonal. And it was 2016. The day of the election, I just saw what felt like a tsunami of people and purchases. I want to say around because I got there probably 4, I think. And as the evening progressed, and that job sucked because oftentimes that's literally the only thing I was doing was just staying at the counter. I hated just staying at the register. But in so doing, I saw more and more people showing up. And as the night progressed and as the results started coming in, more people showed up and more booze was purchased, to the point where I probably saw easily thousands of dollars every hour just in my line. Thousands of dollars of booze coming through the line in an hour. Sometimes $1,000 in one purchase. Now that was kind of par for the course for some people, especially white ladies. Like well-to-do, put-together white ladies, because I also lived, because where I was working was on Arroyo Parkway, and South Pasadena is not too far away from where I was living, working. I wasn't living at the fucking place. I mean, I was close enough to where I could bike there in 15 minutes, but South Pasadena is where the money really is compared to Pasadena. It's more suburban. And in that suburban realm, there's a lot of money. Hell, even the main thoroughfare, not Colorado, California. There was a stark difference between north of California and then south of California Boulevard. South was here's all the houses with money in the yards. North of it was here's the smaller houses with the apartments that are associated, that are also run of the mill and stuff like that. Because where I was living at was in a small apartment complex that was I want to say 10 units or something like that. I was living in the living room. Which sucked, but whatever. And yeah, so any just in general, if you saw just a generally clean cut, well-to-do, but not fancy looking white woman, she was spending $1,000 on wine, easy, $500 minimum. And when I say easy, she would have, wine comes in basically cases of 24. She would have 2, and we had them whenever we would open up a bottle of wine and stock it up and everything, right? We would take the empty and bring it to the front, or we had a storage area in the back that was just a bunch of fucking empty wine cases. And the reason why we stored them all is because over the year, for the most part, those boxes would accumulate. But then towards the end of the year, which was when I started working, they would start to diminish because we sold a lot more wine than we brought in. But because we had a good amount of both the wine boxes, but also actual stock, it worked out. But you easily, people would walk up with 2 of those fucking cases. They'd come in and they'd I need 2 of these boxes. Yeah, go ahead. Or if they needed our help for whatever reason. And it was common. And we're talking a lot of the a lot of the booze at, a lot of the wine at Bevmo is reasonably priced. Now they did get in trouble because of their whole buy one get one thing or whatever, and the way that they would raise a price or something. So before I started working there, and I didn't really realize it until I was there working, they had actually gotten into a class action suit where, let's say they had a bottle of wine that was $20. And it was not on sale at this point, so if you decided to buy it, it was $20. But then you wanted to buy that same bottle of wine on sale, and the sale was always buy one, get one for a nickel, essentially. or buy one, get one for a penny, some bullshit. So basically buy one, get one free. But they were raising the price of the bottle of wine for the sale, sometimes like 50% extra. So that $20 bottle of wine now went up to $30. Now, they were still making technically less money, but they were cutting their losses in doing so. They were mitigating their losses significantly. But here's the thing. Most of the time, people weren't buying 2 bottles of that wine. And so they were always making more money, essentially. And so they had to stop doing that. Because it's illegal. But instead of closing, they just got a slap on the wrist and paid a fine. And then they just had to stop doing it. Switching gears entirely. I feel like I should make my last meal 4 last meals. I know I'll never end up on there, but I should make it anyway. Just because I kind of like, I have an idea of what I want to do. And I think it'd be kind of cool. Just to like, because like what I would do would be like, okay, they just sent me the email, blah, 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 role play. Here is my response and how I would approach it. Of course, I don't know how the email works. I don't know what they're asking or anything like that. How many courses, etc. I'm not gonna like, really break it all down, but it is fascinating. Just like kind of watching the show, and then like Josh is a great interviewer. He is fantastic at what he does. He seems to have found and I'm so jealous of him and anybody else who's able to do it. He's able to like find all of his interests and all of his talents and make it work in a way that he also really likes. Most people can't do that. Some people are lucky enough that they find out what they can do and then do that as a job, and then they're good. And they're not happy, but at least they make enough money and they can make their life work. I don't even know what I can do. And I don't even know what makes me happy, if anything. And so those 2 things, I ain't doing anything making money on them because I don't know what they are. And so, it's just like, it's whatever. The thing that I will say is making that Tonberry has put me in a better mood whenever I'm doing it. Like yesterday when I was kind of in the flow and I did it for about an hour, I was like, okay. And I started thinking, and I started using the creativity that, we all have. It's just, it may not necessarily function for the sake of one thing or another, but I'm just like, my knowledge of so many things, including art and anatomy and things of that nature. It's like, I don't know exactly what a fucking Tonberry looks like under his robe, but I have an idea of how it would work. He's got spindly little arms, but they stick out enough to where he has to wear this burlap sack looking cloak. So I've got to at least function in the realm of relativistic realities where the shoulders stick out further than the trunk, than the torso. And so I've got to accommodate for that. And so I'm in there in the process, and I'm like, ooh, I can smooth this part out because I got to make it look like at least his arm is doing this thing. And I'm like, okay, maybe I got to make him have like a little bit of a belly, but maybe it doesn't have to be a belly. It could just be the cloak itself, whatever. And so I'm like figuring this stuff out as I go, because again, I don't know exactly how I need to make this thing. I just have an idea of how I need to make this thing. And as I'm making it, I'm getting better at figuring out what the next steps are. And that's fascinating to me because I've never really had that process to most of my knowledge. Like, to my knowledge, one, I've never been good at any kind of artwork, for one. When I was a kid, there'd be times where like I would look at something and maybe sketch over it or whatever, and then make some adjustments here or there. Like one time I fucking drew I sketched over an image of Chun-Li in a bikini, and then I made it to where her bikini was on the ground somewhere, and she was basically masturbating. And I was like 12. You know, I really wish I had had that, but it probably got found by my parents, which is unfortunate, but whatever. And I mean, you know, it wasn't detailed or anything. It just like shifted her hand a certain way and all that kind of crap. But, and then like hid it in her crotch. But, you know, it's just like, I do remember when I was younger, I did like whittling. I am liking it. The soap form is a good idea because I have that little like acne tool, whatever the fuck it is. And I'm like, it's soap carver now. And I don't know if I'm going to use 8 pieces of soap to do this Tonberry. It might be 3 or 4. And then I make the Tonberry, and then I start cutting on the wood, and who knows what the fuck I'm cutting on the wood, and then maybe I move back to the soap to start cutting something else, making a Moogle or whatever. I don't know. I think I'll just title this Tonberry v Moogle. Like it's a legal case. I like it. And you know, maybe that's where the creativity starts coming into play. I don't know. I know I have to like spend more time doing it, and you know, less time dicking around on World of Warcraft. But I'm also finding, you know, there's times where I'm finding it to be very frustrating. But you know, it is what it is. And I was able to. The other day, one of my biggest fears going back into playing the World of Warcraft on Ascension, because it's you can play the Burning Crusade material content. And one of the things about the Burning Crusade that I always remember, because it's the first area you go to when you go into what's known as the Outland, is the Fell Reaver. It's this giant green, just like walking mechanical monstrosity that makes this horrible fucking sound, and it shakes the ground as it walks. And if it gets close enough, if it gets into aggro range, you're dead, because they're like level fucking 70. And since I'm level 70, I now know that they're level 70, and also the game gives me their hit points, and they have like 170,000 health. Well, the other day I was like, fuck it, let's try it. I'm level 70. I've been doing these like runs through this like instance sort of boss run thing called Mana Storm, because it's based off of Millhouse Mana Storm. And I'm like, let's try it out. And it took all of what I had. I had to use a couple of heals, and everything to make it work. But I fucking killed one. And I was like, fuck yes. You know, I may not be able to do it. I'll probably have a better chance to do it now, because it's been a few days since, and I've gotten some upgrades on gear and whatnot. And I've even had to change out my my spell-based loadout, because I was like, okay, this isn't really doing it, and this isn't really doing it. Let's try something else. So, yeah, it's been interesting. And that's kind of part of it. It's just like, I now have a flying mount. I can fly over I've literally discovered everything that you can discover in the Outlands area via flying. Had to die a couple of times because fuck those orc dudes on their damn bats throwing stun fireballs. But I got these damn, I think, gnats or whatever, because the fucking potatoes ended up rotting, because I guess they had like, potatoes usually are better at keeping in a pantry, but I don't know what the hell was going on with those potatoes. It looked like they had been damaged somehow, which sucks, because they looked like they had been growing fungus or something. So I had to throw out what was left, which sucks. But it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm still finding some joy in running around playing World of Warcraft, and, you know, just going into new areas and checking it all out. Mostly what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the 9,000-ish gold that's necessary so that I can get the epic flying speed, so that I can fly as fast as I possibly can. But that is going to be for another day, or 12. Who knows? Have fun.